Hey, if you're watching this video, it means that you came from the update video on Operation Pecan because this is unlisted and I don't know how else you would have found it. So let's talk, which is something I don't usually do. Mostly because I don't like to disclose information about myself, A, because I feel that it is selfish unless it's on a personal medium, like this one, or because things go on in everybody's lives and everybody, has different stories, and I don't feel like mine is more important than anybody else's. Therefore, it's really only my friends that need to know because they're the ones that see me on a daily basis. But I'm breaking that a little bit just because I have been gone for so long off the YouTube channel that I created. So, yeah, it's just not fair to like disappear and keep it business. So, first thing I'm gonna say is I'm really sorry that I've been gone. I should have at least done an update video in the first place and just went like, yo, things are just fucking going down. So I guess this is gonna start in October, because I've had in 2016 basically I was juggling a lot of work, and I'm used to that, but I mean I was juggling 4 jobs and had no time and had no social life, and the minute my summer ended, it's almost like I jumped back into work again, and I promised myself I'd only juggle 2, and then somehow it increased again 4. So I'm working on controlling the amount of time I spend in places, and the reason I work so hard is not actually because I need to make money per se. Everybody does, but I work because I like to help people and I like to develop my community. My background in school is recreation, so what that means is managing people's free time. And creating good communal development. And there's a lot of pockets in Vancouver that need assistance, especially since we are a city made up of immigrants, and we also have a lot of people who are Aboriginal, and there was a fuck ton of shit that happened to them that really shouldn't have happened. And I don't think we're doing enough to really reverse the effects, especially since they're long term. So I wanted to contribute my life to helping people and just making the world good, because it fucking sucks most days. But when I basically started to regain my physical health, I got struck by another vehicle while I was driving, and it was like a really bad hit, enough to the point where I blacked out, and then I woke up amongst a bunch of broken glass and all the airbags had gone off and I'd smacked my head super hard. I walked out of there, which I'm freaking miracle, like yay for safety systems in the Toyota brand cars. That's like amazing. But while I was unconscious, they said I had spun into a semi-truck. So I got dual hit, and I focused on getting rid of the physical, not adaptations or disabilities, but physical symptoms that I was experiencing. So I tried my hardest to attend physio at 3 times a week and massage therapy, and I was super good about resting and taking medication for pain, and I still had to work during all this, so I couldn't just not do anything, because I can't, within Vancouver, like, you can't pay rent if you don't work. And I don't have a family backing where they're able to support me financially, especially since they shouldn't have to. I'm an adult and I should be doing things on my own. So that was really awful, and I started getting migraines, and migraines are incapacitating, and it's something I had not gotten before. And then because ICBC, which is our insurance system here in British Columbia, Canada, is really awful, they will not reimburse you any sort of funding until you prove that you were adequately injured. So you need to leave a paper trail, and they try and elongate that for long-term effects, so you might not get money back, or you might not get compensation for your injuries for like 2 years. So I was rapidly, still paying rent, still paying for, necessities, while having all these additional medical costs, because I don't have medical. There's something called medical coverage that you get when you work, part-time or full-time. I don't know about everywhere, but in Canada you need to be a part-timer or full-timer in most corporations and companies in order to actually receive a portion of your medical bills paid for. So let's say an appointment is $100. If you had medical, you'd only be paying 20% of that. But I don't have it, so I need to pay in full. And I can't get reimbursed until I prove that I've done these things. So it was a lot of physical stuff, but not enough so that I could actually exert myself, which all of a sudden I started gaining weight. And then I started being fatigued. And then because I was constantly resting, but not actually sleeping, you're not really restarting your system the way you should. And it just made things really hard for me to continue on a day-to-day basis. And then all of a sudden, I got shoved back into my car because I had to go from one workplace to another. And I didn't realize how much trauma I actually had, psychologically speaking. So then all of a sudden you need to go back to the doctor, reevaluate, update, and then gain access to a counselor. But a specific counselor, because if you don't get a counselor that's ICBC registered, then it doesn't count, apparently. So not only can I not get anybody quickly, I have to wait until this specific counselor becomes available. So I have to pay for that as well. And then I had active rehabilitation, which is like after physio, you go in and you're supervised gym. But you still can't really do cardio or high impact activities. It's a building basis. So I was paying medical bills. I was trying to just survive. And then on top of that, because I was doing all these things, I eliminated my friends completely because I couldn't prioritize my time. Everything had to be done now, and I just broke down. And during that time period, my former friend James, who is a Rush cosplayer on the channel that I run, Operation Pecan, he made this really awesome video where he got users to submit stuff to bring me up and send positive messages. And then he created an update video following that saying that he had so many submissions that he wanted to create parts 2, 3, and 4. But the thing is that I need control over some sort of aspect of my life, and because my injuries and my mental state and my parents and what other activities are happening outside for my personal relationships are so they're so chaotic that I can't have control over that, but YouTube I can. So what I told him was to please continue to follow through with your promise to upload, and it just never happened. Stuff upon stuff upon stuff upon stuff, and excuses and excuses and excuses, and eventually these excuses could not be believed because I followed through on my, despite being really busy, I had given him money from AdSense because he did set up AdSense. I think it was around 40% of the total price. And so I could do that in a very limited time. I didn't understand why it would take 2 months for him to do anything. And so finally I gave him a deadline. And I said that if he could not make it, then that was it. He'd have to suffer consequences. And so what I did was, and it's not just about this video. There has been instances where James has just not been a very good friend. So I finally just said, no, I want you out of my life. I'm done. I cut him as a video manager. I cut him out of, what else? Out of my Facebook and my personal Instagram and things like that. And what his response was to hack into every account that was connected to the email account that we use on a few of our websites. So within there are a couple of personal ones that I've just used the email just because I can. And so it was an incomplete invasion of privacy. So my Instagram, all of a sudden he had gotten into. He technically had access to my Skype. He could have had access to this channel. He could have had access to my account via Patreon because my banking information's in there. What else? Couple other things, but he took over the Tumblr, and the thing is that it wasn't just for me, it was he locked everyone out and then played the victim. So I took action. I did what I could to back myself up against somebody who might be doing some cyberbullying or cyber sleuthing, and eventually I made a phone call and I basically just told him to fuck off. And yeah, I lost a friend out of it, but somebody who wasn't really a good friend. There have been moments, of course, like with everybody's, long-term relationships, I'm sure you guys know, that there are always good things and bad things, but there were more bad things than good things in this one, and it just escalated, and so it took another day to even start securing all the accounts. So it was just pain in the ass, and then having to deal with my parents as well, who are keeping me on leash and collar again. I spent an entire year separating myself from them and their verbal abuse and their bullying in general. They're not awful people, but they're not very understanding people. It's their way or the highway, and they all of a sudden started becoming more involved in my life, and I'm working on just not taking their criticisms personally and to continue trying to better myself. And it'd be so much easier if I could just rest and not do anything, but does that really help you? Not really. Like, if you are ever in a spot where you're demotivated and things are just fucking collapsing around you, then get help. I mean, like, I went to 2 different doctors, a counselor, and then I'm working on trying to find a way to convey how I need support, because when you're trying to ask for things, it's honestly a hard thing to do because you don't want to be a burden on anyone. So I'm going to start doing videos, but I'm starting to pass on information on how to do them versus actually getting people together. And I hope that that direction is the right one to take, because at this point I don't know. Life is difficult, and juggling people is difficult, and constant rejection is also difficult. So we'll see what happens. Thank you for sitting through this. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to ask me in the comment section, or if you message me on here. I may be a little, like, for the next at least 2 weeks since both uploads, I'll be very active on those channels to make sure that everybody gets an answer back. And if there are any resources that you need, then definitely talk to me about it. I'm not very good at being sympathetic, so if you're trying to say, oh, I've been through this before, I'm really sorry, but those things I kind of, not disregard them, but I'm not very good when it comes to emotional stuff. So I can give you practical things like where to go, but not actual motivational words, because I just don't like to fake sympathy, and I need to be able to talk to you for a little while before I become a friend, versus just a stranger giving empty encouragement. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later, and thanks for sticking around.